Hey there, bibliophiles and those brazen bibliophiles. With our ratings and warning labels, finding which books are appropriate for your children to read is like navigating wild terrain without a map and a compass. I don't know about you, but I have been burned more than once handing my child a book that I thought was clean and appropriate for them to read. I'm a fellow mom, educator, reading specialist, and literary enthusiast trying to find great books for my children and yours to read. So if you're looking for a book review from a fellow mom with a biblical worldview, then welcome and enjoy this week's book review. So this week's book review is another graphic novel. It is MexiKid, a graphic memoir by Pedro Martin. And it is a unique autobiographical tale about the author's life, particularly a trip to Mexico to bring back his grandfather to live with them. So Martin is the seventh of 9 children. The first 5 were born in Mexico, if I understood the story correctly, while the other 4 are born in the United States. Pedro does offer a fun glimpse into having a big family, the antics, the youthfulness of his experience when his father purchased an RV and drove the family to Mexico to visit the family and return with his Revolutionary War hero grandfather. That's really Pedro's focus of the story is his grandfather, and sort of learning about him throughout the story. At the beginning, he thinks that he actually, fought during the Revolutionary War there, but he learns a little bit more about what really was going on, and some of his thoughts and ideas are not exactly what took place. So, it's graphic novel. Unlike what I've done before, where I've read a little bit, that's a little difficult to do with a graphic novel, but kind of to give you an idea, he opens up and introduces a little bit of each of his family members in a way that's really graphically appealing. It's a fun way. It highlights some of the peculiarities of each family member. The early part of the book details the dynamics of his home, family relationships, growing up before switching over to the summer road trip and the mission and experience that they have. The story offers readers a window into the family life of another culture. And while there are differences, more is really the same because family is the forefront of this. And so we can all sort of relate to different family dynamics, certainly sibling rivalries, all of those sorts of things. The grandfather is definitely the main focus of the mystery of the novel. Pedro desires to hear the stories about his grandfather and the work that he did during the revolution, in which he brought what he finds out is that he actually brought supplies to both of the warring sides. There are stories about him being attacked and about his religion helping to save him. Pedro loves to draw, obviously, as you can see from the story. And so he talks about a little bit of that early on in his childhood, and so that is a way that he kind of connects with his grandfather, is sharing some of his drawings. But throughout the story, it's pretty fun too, because you can see where he's sort of exaggerating a little bit about his grandfather as he's drawing these stories of his grandfather, like fighting off all of these different guys. And so it's definitely a cute story in that regard, and just I think a sweet dynamic where you have the grandchildren trying to understand the grandparents, and definitely family is important in the story. The other big scene of the story is actually towards the end as they're on their way home. Their family, another car hits a deer, and so the dad pulls over, and Pedro's family gets the deer and puts it in the bathroom of the RV. But it isn't long before they realize that the injured deer isn't actually fully dead. And so Pedro is very upset about this. He wants to help it. His father and grandfather both refuse to help him. He's ultimately given an ultimatum to basically cut off the broken hoof, which he actually attempts to do before the animal dies. And so this becomes a family story once they all get back home. Pedro doesn't think it's funny, but ultimately things come around, and he sort of is okay with what's taken place and all of that. There are a few things to mention in this story, so I definitely want to encourage parents to go to my full written review at holdingsteadfastreaders.com. If you scroll down a little bit into the review, you're going to see some things that are worth note. There are a few uses of the word crap in the story. There is this, all families are different about some bathroom humor and things. There is this like Mexican toy that they fill it up and he like pees on people. There are mentions of ghosts. So page 98, around in that sort of area, we have some references to things about that. So I definitely want to make parents aware of that. Again, go to my full written review at holdingsteadfastreaders.com. You are going to get more of those details to kind of help you sort of navigate if this book is appropriate for your children to read. Overall, the memoir is written in an engaging and unique way that tells the author's story. It allows readers to really experience the cultures and customs that are possibly different from their own. And ultimately, like I've been saying this whole time, it really communicates the power and the beauty of families. And so I think it's a great story that inherently all readers will be able to sort of connect to, and they can laugh and learn from Pedro Martin's story. And so hopefully this book review is helpful to you as parents, gives you some other reading material or some ideas about what may or may not be appropriate for your children to read. And I hope that you'll join me next week for another book review.